Okay, coming up is around 8:30. But before that, let's talk money matters, of course. And you want to be a winner if you can plan your money matters correctly. My guest is Paul Kofi Mante, Head of Financial Planning at EcoBank Securities, Wealth and Asset Management. After frightening the bejesus out of the whole of us last week, he's come back again to tell us how many weeks, how many months we have left to retire. Paul, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Man, when you left, people had a long and hard look at themselves and said, "Boy, it's not easy."
Yeah, but it also tells you that we're making some positive impact.
Yes, indeed.
On this platform. And I've also received quite some positive and some scary feedback from people who could not sleep after looking at that table.
Yes, indeed. Today we're continuing on our conversation with retirement planning.
Yeah.
What do you have up our sleeves?
Yes. So we want to look at the second part. Last week I thought that we couldn't exhaust all the things we had to discuss. Now, when you look at the current state of people on retirement, you realize that a number of them are struggling. In fact, almost everybody watching us, I'm sure knows somebody who is on retirement, who is struggling with the finances. Now, majority of retirees rely on the SNIT monthly pension, but when you talk to majority of them, it's not enough. Gone were the days where people relied on their children to take care of them. But today things are changing. The children themselves are struggling and trying to find their footing. So in 2018, your pension cannot be your children. Gone were the days when we said that we take care of our children to grow up and they will take care of us when we are aging. If the children can do that, it's great. But I am saying that plan for your retirement rather, so you don't become a burden on their children, on your children. And in fact, after 60, it's extremely difficult to find a job. Something that after 60 I still want to work, but it's extremely difficult to find a job. So if you don't plan for retirement, and I get too many scary stories. I was in a presentation recently where a gentleman told me, it was on a Monday, he told me on the Sunday an elderly woman had spoken to him at church and told him that, young man, take your retirement serious, because I've just come on retirement and I've just received my lump sum from SNIT. And guess how much the lady got? 12,000 cedis. 12,000 cedis from SNIT. But the question is, 12,000 cedis is decent money. When you look at your monthly salary, you contribute 5.5% to SNIT. Of course, employer will top up. So you are left with 94.5%. So if out of the 5.5%, SNIT is giving you 12,000 or 20,000 or whatever, out of the 94.5%, we are encouraging you to plan for your retirement as well. Why is retirement planning important? Retirement planning is important because, Kafui, for most of us, it is not urgent, but it is important. See, we tend to spend more time on things that are urgent and are pressing, to the neglect of things that may not be urgent but are very important. For example, retirement. It's not urgent. Nobody will come after you with a cane or with a gun and say, prepare for your retirement.
Like a landlord who will come to you every 2 years.
Exactly.
For your money.
You have to pay rent.
Okay.
It's urgent.
That's
Rent is urgent. Retirement is important, but it's not urgent. And because it's not urgent and pressing, you can easily neglect it. There is another problem. There are 5 problems in life. We will talk about the rest later on. But one of the problems in life is growing too old.
But we all ask for long life.
Yes. But retirement age in Ghana is 60.
It's 60, yeah.
If you live till 90,
you got 30 years.
You got 30 years. That is growing too old. And that means that within the 30 years, you need to be taking care of yourself. The challenge is if you don't plan for it and you grow too old, you have challenges. Because we know that after 60, as you are aging, medical bills increase. You know, it becomes more expensive. So growing too old is one other problem. Of course, we've mentioned the fact that SNIT monthly pension may not be enough, but it's important. Inflation is another important reason why you need to plan for retirement. And inflation, we're talking about the increment in the prices of goods and services and all that. If you retire at 60 and you are getting, let's say, 2,000 cedis pension from Senate monthly pension, of course it increases, but I don't know if it increases with the rate of inflation, because what it means is if you live another 15 years, prices will shoot up, and whatever you are getting may not be matching the way prices are shooting up. So inflation is another very important reason why you need to plan for retirement. Of course, we know the issue of children now. People are out of school and they can't find jobs. So we pray that your children do well in life, but you got to plan for your own retirement and enjoy your retirement.
Question is now, how do you do that? I mean, you painted the story.
Yes.
People
How
are getting
do you do that?
palpitations. They want to know what the solution
is. So how do you do that? This is how you go about it. Let me use this to explain. Viewers cannot watch this, but they can understand it. Assuming you were 40 years today, you retire at age 60. And normally when we do retirement planning for people, we need to have some life expectancy to plan with. We can't plan in a vacuum. So let's say that you will live till age 85. So 60 till 85, you have 25 years to live, but you are 40 now. So we have 20 years to plan for 25 years.
20 years to plan for 45 years, really? For that, and then the life beyond.
Yes,
okay.
The life beyond,
years,
that is 25 years. Let's assume that interest rate after retirement is 16%. Because normally when people retire, they slow down in the area of risk. And let's assume that currently you can get 22% average interest. The big question, the way you plan is you ask yourself, if you were retiring today, how much will give you a comfortable life? So you need to determine that now. Let's assume that it is 5,000 cedis, just for the purposes of our discussion. But let's also assume that inflation is 12%. If inflation is 12%, we're looking at 5,000 today, but we need to look for the future value of that 5,000 at age 60. So the 5,000, if inflation is 12%, by the time you are 60, the value will be 48,231 cedis. In today's thinking, you are looking at 5K. But in 20 years' time, when you retire, that whatever you can do with 5K today, in 20 years' time, you may buy a bottle of malt or single malt, and it ends there. Okay, so 5K today, 20 years' time is 48,000. Now, let's also make provision for annual increment in whatever you'll be drawing out of your pension because of inflation. So let's say we'll increase that by 12%. You know what? What you need to do to make provision for 48,231 cedis every month, increasing by 12% every year till age 85, is 2,609 cedis.
So you need to put down every month?
Every month from today, assuming you don't have anything. By age 60, you can start drawing 48,231, of course, based on the assumptions we have used, till age 85.
Those are great figures.
If you delay for 10 years, you are 40 now, and you turn 50, now you have only 10 years to plan for 25 years.
More effort required.
More effort requires. Now you need to put in 21,665 cedis every month. It's crazy. 21,000, delaying 10 years. If you did it today at 40, you are looking at 2,600. Somebody who is 30, the same numbers we are looking at, somebody who is 30. Now, if you are 30 now, you're looking at 5,000 today. Now we have 30 years to plan. So the future value is 949,000 cedis every month, increasing by 12% every year. How much do you need to put away every month? 1,091 cedis.
So half of the guy who started at 40.
Exactly. The point I want to drive at is the time you need to start is now.
Okay.
If you don't start now, it's going to be extremely challenging for you. And we need to know that there are 3 stages in life. You have the learning years, where you mostly find yourself in the classroom, and I will put it between age 0 and about 25, 26 years. where normally you would have people taking care of your school fees. Then you will have the earning years. That is between age 25, 26 up to about age 60. The point is, if you don't make use of the learning years, you will struggle during the earning years. Yeah. Or you may end up using part of the earning years to learn. But at that stage, if you are learning, you would have to pay your own school fees.
Of course.
But what is even more important is you need to use the earning years to plan for the retirement years. Mm-hmm. Again, if you don't plan during the earning years for retirement, you will suffer or you will struggle during the retirement years. Unfortunately, most people live big and live large during the earning years. And of course, you know that I believe in high life. So we are not saying that let's defer all enjoyment till age 60. That's not what we are saying. But we are saying that during the earning years, you need to make sure that you are making provision for the retirement years. Else, during the retirement years, you are going to struggle.
What does somebody who has gotten all this information now need to do? I mean, you've spoken about the time factor. If you didn't start back then, it's not too late. But the next best time to start is now.
So you're going to struggle with the dilemma of how to balance enjoying life today and then the future. But the difference is happening right now. That whatever retirement you are going to have will not happen at age 60. It is happening today. So a decision needs to be taken. You need to move now. And if you can get a planner to help you, you can get people who have expertise in this area. You sit down with them and then they help you. If you make a mistake, too bad. And people make a lot of mistakes towards retirement planning. Some of the big mistakes for a number of people is, number one, where you don't have a plan at all. You need to have a retirement plan. SNIT, great. But beyond SNIT, you need to have your own retirement plan. Number two, you need to understand the stages in life we've just mentioned. If you are in the earning years, you need to make sure that during the earning years, you take advantage and plan for retirement. Another mistake is people start late. And the analysis we've just done,
it shows that.
It shows clearly. If you started at age 30, the younger you are, the easier it becomes. You need very little commitment to plan for retirement. Once you cross the 45, you cross 50, it becomes extremely difficult. The other mistake is where people have the impression mentality. People want to live to impress people. So they are living large today instead of planning for the future. Another mistake is a lot of people are passive about retirement. When I talk about passive, you'll be surprised how many people are watching us this morning who have never checked on SNIT if their employers are even contributing to SNIT. Because it's at age 60 that they start thinking about retirement. Our recommendation on this program is you cannot be passive and leave it to chance. You need to be active about retirement. So you need to be deliberate, you need to be involved. Make sure that your SNIT contributions are going through today. Drive through SNIT, go and collect your statement. Make sure it's going through. If you have a private pension or a company, tier 2 or tier 3 or whatever, make sure that you get statement, you are involved. Don't be passive about retirement. Another mistake is people underestimate the cost of health care after retirement, but it can be extremely expensive. So you are young today, you may not have issues with health care, but you should know that from age 60, it's going to be expensive and you need to make provision with that. One other one that may sound a little delicate is when people don't involve their spouses in planning for retirement. You see, when you plan together, it becomes easier than when you are doing something alone on the side. So I recommend, I know some people want to keep it private, but I recommend as a financial planner that if you can plan with your spouse, it's ideal, it's the best. Maybe two more I want to mention.
Yes, before we wrap up.
Deliberate delay in childbirth. People underestimate this. If you wait till, of course, sometimes people marry and you don't have control over childbirth. But if you wait till age 40 before you start giving birth, you pay school fees when you're on retirement. Because if you start giving birth at age 40 and you give birth to even 3, spacing 2 years, you're going to have your last born at age 46, at age 47 rather, because it takes 9 months to have the first one. So you have the first one at 41, you have the last one at 47. By the time the last one is going to class 1 in 6 years, that is 47 plus 3, you'll be 53. By the time the last one is going to class 6, you are 59. JSS 3, you are 62 already. So
SHS 65.
65.
University 69.
69. If he goes to medical school, 70 plus.
Yeah.
So my point is, people take it lightly, but if you give birth early, I hear people laughing right here. You give birth early, it gives you space. Ideally, you should finish paying school fees before age 60. Else, at age 60, you'll still be going for PTA meeting. And you'll be there. Young people will be in the PTA meeting making all kinds of funny contributions. We need air conditions in the classroom.
And you'll be wondering what the hell is going on.
What the hell is going on? and your heartbeat is
increasing.
It's increasing in that meeting. But it's because you didn't factor that in. So it's very important in retirement planning. If they can project that table for us, it's important to me. Two things. That table where you have the number of years left. It's important to know the number of years you have left to retire. Multiply by 12 months, you will know the number of salaries you are left to take to retire. If you didn't see this last week, you need to see that.
And we're going to end on this so that you know how urgent it is.
How urgent and how pressing it is to start planning for retirement.
So year of birth on the very far left, then your age as at now, your years left to retire, and your salaries that you are left to retire on.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other one I want us to look at is that slide that talks about the importance of human capital. Just that, and we are done. If you can project that for us, human capital against the financial capital. See, when you are younger, you have human capital, you have energy, you have strength, you may be working. From age 60, the human capital reduces for most people. But during the time you have the huge human capital, you need to start building financial capital towards retirement. So when the human capital is declining, you have the financial capital to be relying on.
All right.
I recommend strongly that before you retire, if it can happen, it will be great, where the return on your retirement fund overtakes your salary before you retire. If it doesn't happen, and at least you can get 80% of how much you are earning today. So your salary is 10,000 cedis. If you can at least hit a point where the interest on your retirement fund is 8,000, that is 80%. It's great. But if you can cross that 10,000 before retirement, you can retire peacefully.
Fantastic.
And you will enjoy old age.
Fantastic. You can find Paul Mante across social media. I know you're on Twitter, you're PK Mante, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. Look for him or speak to a financial planner to help you with issues of retirement planning. The best time was years ago, but the next best time is now. Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward already to next week's
definitely.
Okay,
thank you.
So Paul Kofi Mante is head of financial planning, EcoBank Securities, Wealth and Asset Management. And at this point, some people are saying, Charlie, Eradi, Boamio, Jesus take the wheel, which is our video of the day. It shall be well. It is well. Amen.